Thank you for joining us today for In Conversation with Kestin Cornwall and Michael Leapoy.
Hello, Miigwech, bonjour. My name is Michael Leapoy, Assistant Professor of Design in the Faculty of Design in the Environmental Design and Industrial Design programs.
I'm Kestin Cornwall. I'm an Assistant Professor at OCAD University. I specialize in illustration and visual arts. I also work in graphic design and advertising.
My name is Sydney Gittens.
And some contact information.
Yeah, you can find me at sydneymiagittens.format.com or at sydneymiagittens on Instagram.
Great. All right, so just to jump off, we'll get into some questions. What programs have you taken at OCAD or program? And what and how do they involve your practice?
So I'm graduating from OCAD with a major in design and advertising. I'm in the advertising program. And I have a minor in digital and media studies. So essentially what I wanted to do with my practice is I definitely wanted to work in advertising. And I could have gone to any school for that, honestly. There are a lot of colleges I could have gone to, but I really wanted to get the university experience. So I took a philosophy minor, and it really, helps me dissect media and informs me on how to, understand and dissect media so I can then take that input and put it into my work.
Awesome. Can you give a few brief informal description of your work and what inspires you as far as your work and your process?
So my work is all about innovative ways to solve problems and interesting ways to create those solutions. So I take interesting problems that exist in the world, whether it's, cultivating local music in Toronto, or disrupting the advertising agency structure, or attacking organizational silence in advertising. I take big problems like that and find small, unique solutions for them. And I use traditional advertising mediums in interesting and different ways to solve those problems.
That's great. Very interesting. This isn't one of the questions, but is there a specific medium that you prefer to use?
Recently, I've been really loving my case videos. They're not, super traditional advertising. You wouldn't see them on TV, you wouldn't see them on a billboard. But I really like cutting together case videos. So taking all of these different elements of a campaign, whether it's print, TV, radio, anything like that, and compiling it together in like a really interesting summary video. And that's how I like to portray most of my work.
Very cool. In your field and what you're working in. So what interests you most about it?
Something that interests me most about advertising, but also scares me the most about advertising actually, is how close it's getting to social justice work and activist work. There's this kind of interesting push and pull with the ad industry where a lot of the work that's being awarded and being given awards is work that solves a social issue or a community issue. But what you kind of get from that, and what kind of scares me about it, is that because of the nature of the industry, tight deadlines, huge egos, sometimes people can overlook the people that they're actually trying to help with those ideas. So they're thinking about awards and not necessarily thinking about the people that they're trying to help. So that's what interests me the most about it, but it's also kind of terrifying. So if the industry, does it right, it can be really good. And if they do it wrong, it can be not as good.
All right, great answers. Real quick, I just wanted to introduce Michael. He go ahead, describe your practice, Michael, briefly.
Interdisciplinary, Afro-Caribbean, architecture/design/artist.
Amazing. So he's going to be joining us today. Just ask some questions. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so on your process work, Sydney, and describing how you're working these days, and also your background and your program, how do you your process? Can you just delve more into your video work and how you do that just a little more?
Yeah, of course. So what I love doing and what I actually learned from a professor in second year is in advertising, you're given a very specific strategic brief on like what you need to do, what problem this needs to solve, what client it's for. And I love breaking down the brief. That's one of my favorite parts of the process. So basically what breaking down the brief is you get this nice long document, depending on who's giving it to you. It might be 5 pages, it might be 1 page, but taking apart each paragraph or each section of that brief and distilling it into 2 sentences. So instead of 5 paragraphs, you have 2 sentences for each of those paragraphs. And then breaking that down even further, can you make those sentences into 1 sentence? Can you take those and compress them into, just 3 sentences for the entire brief until you break it down even further till you get to like the source of it. And once you get to the source of it, you either come up with like a really interesting line or a really interesting insight, but what's the most important thing in that brief, and then working from there. So, you still have the background of the entire brief, but you also have that one little nugget that you've really mined for in that brief and working from there. Because I find that, as creatives, it can be difficult to take a look at this huge brief and come up with something interesting from that. But it can be easier and honestly more fun to take something small and transform it into something big. So, you can still have the background of the entire brief in your brain, but that one little nugget is what's really important and what you can create a whole bunch of different executions off of.
Great. You're clearly good at this distillation process, and you could share with the audience that you just won an award. Right?
I did.
Recognizing what your expertise and what you've learned. So, what is it? What's the award that you won?
I am the advertising medal winner for OCAD U.
Oh, shake it up. Very good. As you know, and we've met before, Kestin and I are new to OCAD U. And so we're just completing a year of teaching and being on committees and stuff like that. But you've experienced your full degree here, last 4 years. Can you kind of explain the moments? I mean, besides the cultural moment outside, what's been going on at OCAD U for you?
I've met some of my best friends at OCAD U, honestly. Being able to connect with creative people was never something I was really able to do back when I was in high school and when I was a lot younger. I was around a lot of people who were involved in a bunch of different disciplines, but being able to connect on like a human level to other creatives has been really, really fun. So I've met some of my best friends here. A lot of the professors have been really, really incredible. I've been able to connect with a lot of them in class and outside of class, in ways that I have never been able to connect with teachers before. They've been really incredible in, helping me learn and helping me grow in my process. And honestly, I think this might be the same for most advertising students. But when you come into OCAD as an advertising student, you kind of don't know anything. When you're coming in as a drawing and painting student, or you're coming in as even a philosophy student, a little bit about what needs to go into the work that you're going to produce. When you go in as an advertising student, the kind of general consensus is you don't know anything. You don't know how an ad's made. You don't know what the process is. You know nothing. So I think that growth that I've experienced through OCAD, from going from nothing to hopefully I have something at the end of it. I have this incredible skill that I never would have been able to get anywhere else.
So let me add to that question. Given that we're all, colored people in this meeting here, how was that experience, right? Although you came in with, your cohorts not knowing anything about advertising, but you're a Black student, right? So what was that like at OCAD U?
It was very interesting. I think if I'm looking at my cohort, I think there's me and one other Black student in advertising. So
Out of how many? Sorry, out of how many?
out of, I think, graduating this year, probably 43 students, somewhere around there. 40 to 45 students are graduating this year. Out of that, there are two, me and one other person. But I've had, honestly, a really good time being able to connect with people at OCAD about, issues involving my race and issues involving, how I exist through the world. All of my classmates are really receptive to that. They're able to have really interesting conversations. And it also doesn't hurt that most of the people who are graduating with me are other people of color.
Great. One more question. This morning I was part of the jury for the CAD, Center for Emerging Artists and Designers, the launch. So just awarding, money to students, and every time I'm involved with them, or I'm just fascinated how much support OCAD U resource there is for students, So now that you're an alum, soon to be an alum, how can we support your career further, right? Beyond, it's not just get out, you've paid your tuition, you graduated. What else can we do? And then, once you become a millionaire, I'm an architect, so, clients. And then, of course, Kestin, I'm waiting for Kestin to do his 12 by 12 foot, paintings, that scale in your mansion, once you become, super popular. But how can we support you? How can OCAD U and us as faculty support you further?
I honestly think the best way I can be OCAD supported by OCAD is to support OCAD back. Some of my favorite projects I've done one of my favorite projects actually has been through the CEAD, and it's one of the things that has gotten me some of the most attention from creative directors and the most interest. Was a speaker series that I wanted to start that was bringing women in design to the women who are graduating with me. I started that speaker series through the CEAD, and they've been really, really helpful in navigating that. They've helped us put it together. It was an incredible initiative that we were able to do, and I want to continue doing things like that with OCAD U, because in the real world, not everyone's going to help you out like that, or not everyone's going to want to support you for initiatives like that. So the best way that OCAD can support me is to let me help continue to support OCAD U. And
outside of OCAD, so just the Black community in general, how do you think they could support you?
The Black community in general, I would say...
Or just your community in general.
Or the community in general. I would say more agencies need to be instituting processes and internships and, hiring for diversity. There have been a few agencies in the city who have picked up the slack and started it, but agencies need to continue it. There are a couple of them in there, like Taxi. I was part of the Black Taxi program last year that are intentionally hiring Black people, and I think more agencies need to do that. And I think, I've said this before, it's not easy, but it is simple for the advertising industry to support the Black community and to support myself, is to continue to hire Black people intentionally.
I 100% agree with that. Great points. Just state your name, contact information, just so that they don't have to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, of course. My name is Sydney Gittens. You can find my portfolio at sydneymiagittens.format.com or on Instagram at sydneymiagittens.
All right, and thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to end the call, but I'll stop recording. Be sure to check out our next episode, blackocadu.ca. Let's go.